Let's be honest. You've tried to be consistent and you've failed. Every single time. You've read the books, you've watched the videos, you've set the alarms, and yet, you're still stuck. Here's why. Every habit system you've ever tried is fighting a war against your own brain. And you are losing that war. Today, that ends. We're not going to fight. We're going to remove the battle completely. There's an ancient Zen principle of practice without gaps, a way to make effort so automatic that the fight inside you simply disappears. This is a 5-step system to build that kind of consistency, the kind that makes other people uncomfortable, and it begins by understanding that your motivation has been your greatest enemy all along. Part 1. The declaration that ends the war. It's 5 a.m. Your alarm is screaming. That's when the negotiation begins. Your mind in that soft, warm darkness starts the conversation. Maybe just for today, it whispers, you're so tired. You can do double tomorrow. That internal negotiation is the exact moment where your consistency dies. Because in that debate between the person you want to be and the person you are right now, one voice always wins. And it's never the voice of discipline. A commitment device is what ends that conversation before it can even start. The samurai understood this when they made vows written in their own blood. It sounds extreme until you understand the psychology. Your brain sorts every promise you make into 2 boxes, reversible and irreversible. Reversible promises are the ones you negotiate. Irreversible ones are the ones you just get done. When you make a commitment public, you move it into the irreversible box. You finally have skin in the game. Think about Ichigo. A successful programmer, smart guy, but he couldn't build a simple meditation habit. For him, like for you, the pattern was always the same. Monday, he was full of motivation. Wednesday, the negotiation started. By Friday, he'd quit. On Sunday, he'd be full of promises about next week. Then he learned how Zen monks make their vows. Not as private goals, but as public declarations of identity before their entire community. The monks don't promise to try to meditate. They declare, I am a person who meditates. The community witnesses it. The identity shifts, and the negotiation ends. So Ichigo wrote down exactly who he would become. I will meditate for 20 minutes every single morning for 90 days. He signed his name to it, posted it on his social media, and told everyone he knew. His friends said he was being dramatic. His co-workers said he was trying too hard. Good. Every person who knew about it became fuel. Every morning when that voice whispered, quit, he thought about having to face them. He imagined having to admit he was just another guy who couldn't keep his own word. That fear of public shame lit a fire that 1,000 motivational videos never could. When you tell nobody your goals, you're only disappointing yourself, and let's be honest, you're used to that. But when you tell everyone, your own ego will not let you fail. Your pride, which is usually your enemy, suddenly becomes your greatest ally. The real test came on day 3. The 5 a.m. alarm went off and his mind started its usual lies. You're exhausted. This is unhealthy. One day won't matter, but something was different. The thought of posting online that he'd failed after only 3 days was unbearable. The declaration had made quitting more painful than continuing. But here's the problem. Social pressure can stop the negotiation, but you're still fighting your own biology. Your body doesn't care about your reputation. It wants to sleep. You're still at war. That's where the second principle eliminates the fight completely. Part 2. The lock-in. Your fixed schedule. Every morning you waste precious mental energy on the same stupid question. When should I do this? Now or after breakfast? Morning or evening? This single decision burns the fuel in your brain that you should be using for the actual work. You're spending your energy deciding when to drive the car instead of actually driving it. For over 800 years, the monks at Aiheiji Temple have woken at exactly 3:30 a.m. Not 3:25, not 3:35. The same bell rings at the same time every single day. Do you know what they never do? They never lie in bed wondering if they should sleep in. The question doesn't even exist because the time never changes. Your brain has a simple rule. It stops questioning what never varies. When something happens at the same time every day, your nervous system takes over. It shifts from a conscious, painful decision into an automatic biological pattern. This isn't about discipline, it's about biology. Ichigo chose 5 a.m., not because he loves sunrises, but because at 5 a.m., the world is asleep. No texts, no emails, no distractions, no excuses. The time wasn't about finding the perfect moment. It was about eliminating every other possibility. The first week was hell. His body fought him. That's normal. You're forcing a machine that loves patterns to build a new one. Of course, it's going to rebel. But in the second week, something shifted. He started waking up 2 minutes before his alarm. His body was preparing for what it now expected. By day 14, when his alarm went off, his feet were on the floor before his conscious mind even woke up. No thought, no decision, just movement. The fixed time had solved half the equation. But his mind, clever and lazy, found a new place to negotiate. It stopped arguing about when and started arguing about what. He'd sit down to meditate, and his brain would say, "You know, maybe some push-ups would be better today." He'd eliminated one variable, but the practice itself was still chaos. Part 3. The one form, your identical practice. You think variety keeps things interesting, but variety is where consistency goes to die. Every time you change your routine, you force your brain to make dozens of tiny decisions. Which book should I read? How long should I meditate? Which exercise should I do? Each tiny decision is a crack in your armor, and your old patterns will always seep back through those cracks. The Zen masters taught that a single repeated form is what shapes the mind. Like the practice of shikantaza, which literally means just sitting. Not sitting and planning. Not sitting and solving problems, just sitting. One form. No variation, no negotiation. When the form becomes automatic, the mind finally stops fighting because there's nothing left to fight about. This is a universal truth of mastery. Beginners want variety. Amateurs get lost in complexity. Masters return to the basics and repeat them until they become a part of their soul. So Ichigo locked it down. 20 push-ups, 10 minutes of meditation, 10 minutes of reading, same order, same time, every day. His friends called him a robot. His girlfriend said he was becoming boring. They didn't understand. Boring was the entire point. By week 6, he'd be halfway through his push-ups before he even realized he'd started. The practice was doing itself. This is the secret nobody tells you. Consistency isn't about your willpower lasting forever. It's about using repetition until your willpower isn't even needed anymore. But then life happened. On day 35, Ichigo got the flu. On day 40, he had to travel for work. This is where you have quit before. This is where everyone quits. Because perfect practice requires perfect conditions, and perfect conditions do not exist. Part 4. The no-gap rule, your unbroken practice. The all-or-nothing lie has killed more dreams than laziness ever could. You tell yourself, if I can't do the full 20 minutes, why bother? This thinking creates gaps, and a gap is an invitation for your weakness to come flooding back in. A river never stops flowing. During a drought, it might shrink to a tiny trickle, but it never stops. The moment it stops, it is no longer a river. It is just a memory of where water used to be. Your practice is the same. The moment you create a gap, you are no longer a person who practices. You are a person who used to practice. When Ichigo got sick, instead of skipping, he did 2 push-ups. He sat for 1 minute. He read 1 page. It wasn't about progress, it was about continuity. It was about telling his old self, not today. When he had to travel, he did his push-ups in the airport bathroom. People stared at him like he was insane. Good. He meditated in an Uber. None of it was perfect. All of it maintained his momentum. This is the rule of no gaps. A rest day for an athlete is strategic and planned. It allows him to train harder tomorrow. But when you skip because you're tired, that's not rest, that's a retreat. There is a massive difference. When people hear this, they start asking, when will people notice my discipline? The answer is, they will notice when they start telling you it's unhealthy, when they call you obsessive, when they say, normal people don't act like this, When you hear those words, you know you are finally on the right path. Normal people get normal results. You're not trying to be normal, you're trying to be unbreakable. But what about the things you can't plan for? Part 5. The pre-solved response. Your plan for chaos. Your kid gets sick, your car breaks down, your boss keeps you late. These are the real consistency killers. Because when an unexpected obstacle appears, you have to make a decision under stress. And in that moment of chaos, you will always choose the path of least resistance. The obstacle wins because you're fighting a battle you never prepared for. Zen monasteries have operated for centuries without missing a single day. Through earthquakes, wars, and famines, the practice continues. How? They don't make decisions when something goes wrong. The response already exists. When the meditation hall floods, they move to the dining hall. When the dining hall burns, they sit in the courtyard. The bell rings, and the response is automatic. This is about removing decision fatigue when you are at your weakest. Ichigo sat down and wrote out every single obstacle that had ever broken his consistency in the past. And he pre-solved each one. Raining outside? Push-ups in the garage. Guests staying over? Silent workout on the bathroom floor. Hungover? Shouldn't happen, but if it does, 2 push-ups, 1 minute of meditation, 1 page of reading. When X happens, I will do Y. No thinking, no negotiating, just execution. The power of this is that you stop wasting energy worrying. Your brain knows that no matter what happens tomorrow, the practice will continue. That certainty changes your entire nervous system. You stop treating consistency like a daily battle and start treating it like a fact of your existence. On day 90, Ichigo completed his 3 months. But something deeper had happened. He wasn't the same person. His friends told him, "Your consistency is scary." His response was perfect. Good. Because when your discipline makes others uncomfortable, you are finally operating at the right level. Your very existence proves that everything they say is impossible is actually just uncomfortable. They'll call you obsessive because they need you to slow down so they can feel better about standing still. But you are not doing this for them. You are doing this because you have finally discovered the secret. Consistency isn't about doing something every day. It's about becoming someone who cannot do otherwise.